Hello and welcome to Valheim. What we're going to be doing today is doing a beginner's tips and tricks. I've been playing this game. This game is amazing. And what I want to do is show you some of the things I've learned that will make your experience not easier, but I'm going to say a little bit more fluid, okay? A little bit less just sitting there trying to Google stuff and a little bit more just playing and enjoying the game. None of the things that I teach you today are going to be spoilers, meaning none of these things you have to worry about. If I watch this video, am I going to lose the fact that I'm doing a blind playthrough or anything like that? Nope, I'm just going to teach you mechanics or some basics about the game that I really wish I had known from the beginning to make the experience more enjoyable. With that being said, this video took a little bit of work to put together. If you want, you can like the video and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more of these. Love y'all, and let's get going. The very best tip anyone can give in this game is to get yourself a shield right at the start of the game. You can get yourself a shield just by getting 4 leather scraps and some wood, which you can get from a boar and from a tree, obviously. And check this out. The best thing about the shield is you can do a parry block. Now, if I just hold the block once I've made my shield, it's just going to block normally. You see the 4.4, 4.8, etc. However, if I block right as he hits it, basically I time it like Street Fighter, right? It does a parry and it sends him flying back as well as stunning him. Now, better shields will have a better effect. However, any shield can do this, making it where from the very beginning, you can effectively, quickly remove all damage. If you see here, I got no armor on, but if you just get yourself a shield, that's all you need. It's not hard. The timing's very generous to get the parry, and the parry allows you to attack back. This is basically critical at later on in the game, because if you don't learn this mechanic, you're going to get hit all the time. Plus, the shields are really cheap, and you can repair them for free. All right, beginner's tip number 1. You're going to learn this one really quickly. Anytime you see these raspberries, you're going to want to pick these up, and the reason is, later on in the game, you're going to use raspberries plus blueberries together, and that's going to make a jam, and jam is a really good food source. Plus, on top of it, if you get raspberries, you can just eat the raspberries themselves as a food source too. In the Black Forest, which is the place typically right next to the meadows, you're going to find blueberries, and in the meadows, you're always going to find the raspberries. The mountain will freeze you if you don't have the correct gear. This guy, for instance, here is wearing warm gear, so he can go into the mountain no problem. I do not have warm gear, so if I run into the mountain, cold weather looking area, I'm going to start freezing to death very quickly. You have to have a crafting table to build, but you don't have to have a crafting table to place yourself a fire. If you're freezing and you're on the mountain, for instance, like if I'm running up here and I'm oh my god, hold on, that's a wolf. That is a wolf. Run, okay, yep. This is the part in the video where we run. Yeah, so here's a tip for you. Do not bother the wolves. Yep, and that's why. Boars are the only thing that drop leather scraps, making it actually pretty hard to farm leather scraps in the beginning of the game. They also get frightened and then attack you. Now, the thing about a boar is that you can actually tame these. If you get a couple of them, put them in a pen and feed them mushrooms, raspberries, stuff like that, and give them time and a little bit of distance, eventually they're going to be tame enough. If you get 2 of them, you can actually breed them. In the beginning of the game, typically the meadows have a few boars. I highly recommend in the beginning getting yourself a little bit of wood and just pinning them inside of some kind of fenced enclosure just to keep those boars away from people, keep them safe. Depends if you're running a server or something. Maybe there's other people. Let them know you're trying to keep those boars. And then that way you can tame them later on and then breed them so you have a source of leather scraps. Otherwise, you're going to be running around trying to find individual boars like that guy right there. And then when you kill him, you're like, okay, I found a boar. Let's get rid of him. Let's see how many scraps we get off that, okay? We got a boar trophy and 1 leather scrap. So if you want this shield, that's 4 boars alone. If you want to get yourself a bow, that's 8 boars, okay? It's going to take a long time. Highly recommend starting to tame them. Fallen logs can and will damage your property. Be careful when you're cutting down trees. It can destroy your stuff. Also, when logs move, it causes damage too. If it continues to roll, the rolling will cause damage and can actually break down this fence. So now we have sort of a permanent log on fence situation here. He's kind of a fence sitter. Is that a joke? Am I allowed that one? The higher level comfort your house is, the the longer the rested buff will last. The rested buff helps you with stamina consumption. It's a very important buff to have. It's basically the inverse of being cold. When you're cold, you will continually have a lower amount of stamina to use, whereas rested helps you out in the other way. You can plant and grow stuff, which you'll learn about with the cultivator. However, make sure that you leave space between things. You can see that we have these decently separated. If they're not separated, they're not going to grow, okay? Too close together, it's just not going to work. It will tell you if it needs space when you look at them. It will literally say it needs space. For instance, you can grow carrots really close together, but the trees, if they were that close together, they would not grow. You can, in fact, die to your own spikes, so be careful. Bows have a drop as like a bullet drop, basically. So you want to aim a little bit up when you shoot it. You also want to try to hit your target. There can be different biomes that are dangerous right next to each other. You can go from meadows and then instantly go into a swamp, which has something like a Draugr, which will in fact one-shot you. So you kind of want to be careful. Typically the music would change, or if you look in the top right corner on the map, it's going to say meadows, and then you run into it, it will say swamp. It's going to be pretty obvious when it happens. Everything's going to look a little bit more spooky, and you're going to have to end up running from skeletons. Bad guys will, in fact, chase you out of their biome, but they won't go too far. So if you run into the meadows pretty deep, you can see they're eventually just going to turn around. There's different types of damage. You can see this is blunt damage with the club. For instance, this stone axe here is slash damage, and there is relevant types of defense with the enemy. Some enemies are way weaker to slash, some are way weaker to blunt force. For instance, the skeletons, when blunt force, you're trying to like break the bones, whereas things like the boar, etc., you're looking for like pierce or, you know, poking them, stuff like that. They're humans, basically, right? I mean, they got meat bags in them is what I'm saying, so you're looking to pierce them. And then, for instance, the Greylings, right? They are really weak to fire. You see how he starts running away from the fire? And you can see that when I hit him with the blunt force object, it hit a yellow on it, because yellow is the strong type, basically. If you start hitting yellow, it means you found the strong type for the enemy. One way to actually get a lot of wood is take a log and push it if it's on a hill. Sometimes you can roll it down through like these branches and stuff, and it will break the wood. You can see there, you see how it was another yellow? The yellow is because it's strong versus typing there. The deer, the boar, they see me. Kobe. Got him. If you're wondering what this weird effect I have on me is where I'm dripping water, it means I'm wet. I ran in some water. When you're wet, your health regeneration goes down by 25% and your stamina regeneration goes down by 15%. It's best to eat before you leave the house. That way you have the rested buff and full HP as well as more stamina. Your stamina and health are linked, meaning, you see how I have a larger stamina bar then? If you eat, you have more stamina to use. Basically, the cap of your HP is also the cap of your stamina. For that reason, food's the most important thing in the game, and you need to learn how to cook. You can plant yourself a fireplace, which does not require a crafting station. And then after that, you can make a cooking station just over the top. Keep in mind, you can actually put a couple cooking stations over one fire. So that way you don't have to make multiple fires and you can cook 4 things at once. Wood piles are not just cosmetic. You can actually chop them and get your wood back as well. So you can go like this, make 50 pile, go to miscellaneous, go, yeah, I want my wood stack, and you can put it like that, pow. Now we have a wood stack, but if I wanted, I could break it, and I can get my 50 wood right back. You just walk right into it and you pick it up. See, it's really easy. If you leave your food on the fire too long, it turns into coal. Some gear actually has set effects. For instance, the troll hide, if you have all of the troll set, you get yourself the sneaky bonus, which makes you more sneaky by 25%. If it says you unlocked a new recipe, but you can't find it on your crafting station, you might need to upgrade your crafting station first. It's not going to show recipes that you have not the workbench capability of creating. If you plan to leave your server online so you and friends can play together, make sure that you wall your walls with pokey sticks like these ones. And the reason we do that is because if I just leave the server running, there's random events that can happen at nighttime and they'll attack you. So you'll get a whole bunch of like random brutes or, you know, some dudes with sticks or whatever will come and attack you. And if they attack you, They can break through all your walls and then start attacking your base and break down your stuff, and it can get really annoying to come back and constantly repair things if you're just kind of sitting there AFK like I am to let the server go so people can play on your server. For that reason, you want to be kind of careful when you're leaving the server online. Also, it's best to sleep at night. That way it goes straight to the daytime. When you sleep at night, it also allows you to process stuff quicker. So if you're cooking food or anything that's in, like the fermenter or being smithed, those things will happen because it speeds through the day. It doesn't require real time, it requires in-game time. So now things are processed a lot quicker. If you go out here and look, where is it? Anything that would have been made by the smelter would be out here just in the huge stack. That's going to wrap it up for this episode of Valheim's Beginner's Tips and Tricks. If you want to see more episodes, fun stuff, guides, or if you have any questions about Valheim, just leave a comment. Let me know. I am happy to help out with anything I can do. Love you all. Thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you on the next Valheim video. I don't know if you guys can hear this, but in the background, my cats are fighting.